Hello and welcome to another video with me, Veerle. And I wanted to make a video, some people asked actually, and asked quite firmly, I shall say, to do a video on menopause. Isn't that a little bit of a taboo there? Well, the time that I'm recording this, Mercury is conjunct Pluto, and it's like Mercury is like conjunct Pluto for ages. I don't know how you guys out there, guys and girls, are sensing this energy, but it's pretty real and it's pretty about the truth. And I thought I'm going to make a series of videos about some taboos there. I did another video about abusive relationships, got a lot of reaction on that. And I think, seriously, a video to look forward to is one that I'm going to do on the 20th of February, but it will be uploaded afterwards. And I'm going to have an interview with a friend of mine. And it's about sexual abuse with young girls that are, young teenagers, let's say like 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, and that are in the midst of developing their identity and that are seduced by lover boys. And I've been wanting to do this interview to explore a bit astrologically what this is all about. But my friend didn't have the time then, and now she called me, and I thought, yeah, this is great, let's do some videos. I mean, the energies are perfect for that, to explore some taboos. Now this one is, as I said, about the menopause, and I must say there's not a lot to explore when it comes to astrology and menopause. And if you are a young girl out there, or a young man, or whatever, maybe, bear with me, maybe you can learn something about your mum, or whatever, because this is a quite interesting subject, because I start smiling, because this idea, I talked to I have two older sisters, one older brother and two older sisters who just finished the menopause, you could say, and I was with one of them having we went out and we talked a lot with a couple of her friends, all around their 50s, 50s, 55, 57, something like that. And I thought, this is unbelievable that there is this is such a taboo. I didn't know that, actually. I thought, menopause, it's still another 20 years before I'm going into it, I think, my sister said. But I just thought, oh, it's just something, that you are, how do you call that? You're getting too hot at some moments. That must be, but more than that, I didn't know it was that bit much of a deal. And when I asked my mum about this, she said, but in our times, we didn't have time. We didn't have time for the menopause, which is a typical, I think, Moon conjunct Pluto answer of, emotions better put them, under the carpet. But I think no offense to women who react like that. I think it's true. It's true. She didn't have time, with 4 kids. But one thing about taboos is the following. If you want to break a taboo, or not break a taboo, but talk about something that is taboo, the one mistake that you can make, and I hope I'm not doing that, is giving it too much attention. And especially with the menopause, because the menopause is, it seems to me, a very natural thing. It's very natural, and it's very interesting how society nowadays is actually bombarding images, bombarding messages to not accept this natural process. So I'm going to be talking about this a bit as well. Then I'm going to be talking about what I think in my little, with experience with clients that I see, what kind of aspects are happening, so you can see what is happening for yourself. Now, first of all, it is not, I'm certainly not going to make a video, oh, poor you, victim woman. Oh, no, I think that's not me. I don't want to victimize these women who are suffering from it, because let's look, first of all, astrologically, you know, in your temperament, you could say, if you are going to have challenges with that or not. So, I'm not going to explain what menopause is. I thought it was very much a physical thing. But my sister, who and her friends and many women who I talked to lately about this, they stressed that the physical thing is just, you know, it's not that. It's totally more of an emotional thing and a psychological thing. Because the physical side of it, you can use, for instance, herbs. You can use a lot on the, I wouldn't say the medicines, because that is really saying you're not allowing this process to go through. But herbs and these things can help you in easing that process, especially with the physical. I say the physical complaints that you have. And there's a lot. I've heard, you know, you don't have to suffer through these physical pains or whatever. Also on a sexual level, I mean, you know, there are many things who can help you out. But of course, on a psychological thing, an emotional thing, this is something that you need to work through yourself. And of course, others can help you with that. And so first of all, also, why is it, like my mom said, I didn't have time to think about that. I didn't even know that it existed. That says a lot about the society as well. You know, society today, I remember that I once was in New York and I was walking on the avenue, I think it was one of those poshy avenues, the Fifth Avenue or what is it? And I was walking with my boyfriend on that avenue, and there was a lady in front of us, and she was having this, how do you call that? You know, this, what is this, a tail, a ponytail or something? So she was walking, you know, like this. I always get very uplifted when I see a woman with a ponytail. That's why I'm walking here in my home every day with ponytails. But the thing is, that looked an amazing woman, you know, backwards seen, and she was all totally, you know, with muscles and blonde hair. She was walking, and that ponytail was going like that, and she was running, and it was very early in the morning because we were having jet lags, and that must have been probably 7 o'clock in the morning. But anyways, she was walking, and I was admiring that, how on earth can you, you know, in the morning, so early, being so physical and being so determined. And then she turned around, she crossed the road, and we saw her face. It was like, oh, she looks like 80, 82. So that was a bit of a shock there. But what I'm trying to say is that society is so full of, you know, you need to stay young. You need to look like, you know, at least 19 years old with that fresh ponytail. But the thing is how fake that is, and how you know, that's keeping up an illusion, you could say. It's very, I think, let's have a look at the horoscopes, and let's have a look at, I would look at Venus. I would look, if a woman expresses her femininity, and a lot of problems that I've heard, that I asked my sister on a psychological level, what is the problem there? What is the problem there? And she always, when she sees that I'm not having empathy, or I'm not having an understanding of the whole situation, she talks to me like I'm a man. And she always says, you know, you with all your Virgo planets, you are so rational at times. I talk to you like a man. And then you get it. And it's true. It's true, because she said, you know how it feels? It feels like I'm castrated, or how do you say that? That's how it feels. I said, ouch. So that's how some women apparently feel like it's not only the physicality of, you know, getting a moon phase or getting a bit thicker or having no hips anymore. It's a lot about that femininity, that quality of being attractive, and that women think that they lose that completely, and which I think they don't, because that's a value, of course. And it's a value. You could say that the society is like a Venus conjunct North Node. You know, if you see someone with a Venus conjunct the North Node, especially a young woman, you will see that they will overdo on the Venusian values. They will overdo. They will dress too sexy, or they will dress too, you know, they will overdo their looks. And then when they get older, they understand the good things about Venus, that this is about beauty, yes, but also inwards and all these kind of things, on a more spiritual way, you could say. But and relationships as well, you know, having that balance and that peace. But so you could say that society is definitely not helping us. I mean, women in general, because but some women seem to have no problem with that, and other women seem to have a problem with that. And so I explored a little bit. I explored with the Venuses, because a women's value, if you want to know what does my woman value, if you look in the natal chart, you can look at Venus. Of course, there's more things than that, but I just take out one thing here that is mostly important. So you have a look at the Venus of a woman, and then you see what that woman values. And I, in this little exploration that I did with friends and clients, this was a bit of a conclusion, and this is of course just a little experience thing that I'm doing, or not experience, experimental thing that I'm doing here. And what I saw was the following: women who have a Venus ruled by Mercury, so which would be a Venus in Virgo or a Venus in Gemini, they don't really have a problem with this. I mean, with this, you know, trying a problem with this. I mean, as a woman, it's very challenging if you don't go with the flow, if you don't go with this natural process. You know, you're turning into a wise woman, for God's sake. And not that you're not already it when you're before that age, but you know, that wisdom, you're going definitely towards another process and towards a new level of consciousness, you could say. But so women with Mercury ruled Venuses, they will understand that, and they will, through their reasoning, they will just adapt. And both Virgo and Gemini are mutable signs. So I think these women, they can have a challenge with it, but not that. I think it'll be okay. On the other hand, you've got Venus in Aquarius and Venus in Capricorn. These are Saturn-ruled signs. I think these people, what I've seen from women with Venuses there, they don't mind either. On the contrary, they value, they see the value of getting older because their sign is ruled by Saturn. And you could say, of course, yes, Venus in Aquarius is ruled by Uranus and all of that, but basically, this is a more, especially Venus in Aquarius, this is a very friendly place to be for a Venus. And it's all about, it's not so much about I value so much my own looks. No, it's more about, especially the Venus in Capricorn as well, is more about I need to look classy, rather than I need to look sexy, or I need to look 17 years old. So I think these people won't have many problems with that either. Then we've got the Venuses in a Mars-ruled sign, like Venus in Scorpio, Venus in Aries, the same. What they value is action. What they value is Mars, which is actually the opposite of Venus, you know. And probably there would be some, so I think they will do well with that as well, because Venus in Aries is, the positive thing of Aries is that they are very future oriented, you know, they are running all the time and they, you know, they're not looking back and, oh, when I was younger, they don't do that. Now the Venus in Scorpio, their value is a lot about intimacy, you know, and there can be a confusion because a lot of people, also my students, they think Venus in Scorpio is all about sex. It's a part of it. Scorpio is the 8th house, which is intimacy. That is what these people value. And that sex is just a little part of that, or can be a part of that. But they value the realness of themselves and of another person. So they're not interested in all these fake things. That's, you know, that's not their thing. Venus in Scorpio is ruled by, you know, Mars, but also the sign Scorpio wants truth and wants realness and certainly not illusions. So what is left? There are a couple of signs left here that are having a bit of a hard time. Or a bit more of a hard time, and especially when society pushes. So these people with those Venuses that I just described can have a look at society and then can say, hey, I'm not going to fall into that, you know, come on, crazy. Or movies as well, you know. But the women who have a Venus in the Venus root signs, which would be Libra, which would be help me, which would be Taurus, also in the exalted Venus sign, which would be Pisces, and also especially the Venus in Leo, because it's ruled by the Sun, they will feel the biggest challenges. That's what I've seen, and I'll explain a little bit. The Venus in Leo, first of all. Now, a woman with Venus in Leo, I love women who've got Venus in Leo because they are mostly very. So it's ruled by the Sun, so they want to shine in some sort of way, or they want that at least their lover shines, you know, for them. I've never seen a woman with a Venus in Leo with an ugly lover, you could say. There's also always something about them that is quite flamboyant or quite Hollywood-like, you could say. And I'm exaggerating a little bit, but what I'm trying to say is people with Venus in Leo, they are a bit vain. And I don't say this in a negative way. I have a niece who has Venus in who's a Virgo, and that's very nice. You know, the Virgo is very it's a bit shy, but having Venus in Leo is not shy at all. And she's got that Venus in Leo bang on her midheaven, and she's very much, you know, a bit like this. They're always touching their hair, or if their hair is not okay, you know, they're not going to leave the building. But what I'm trying to say is that outer looks are important for these women, or if they're not really, they can project it on their lover as well, because they put value there. They put value there. So these women can have a bit of a challenge that if you identify with looks and people looking at you, or people looking at you because your lover is good looking, then you put a lot of value there. And I'm not saying this is negative, wrong or right. No, what I'm saying is it is the way it is. You put value there, period. That's your Venus in Leo. And because of that, of course, when you get older, you start seeing that, you know, this is these are typically the women that also together with the Venus in Libra, the Venus in Pisces, and the Venus in Taurus, like my sister who's got Venus in Pisces, she says, you know, men are not opening the door anymore for me, or men don't stop for, you know, crossing the road anymore for me, this kind of thing. And when she says that to me, I say, so open the door yourself or something. But for these women, it is a bit more difficult because they put value on that. They put value on these things. So just trying to explain here why some women are not having any trouble with that and others have. I think also then there is Venus in Cancer. That's more of a water sign. So that's also, the value is also different. So another thing is, I've seen in that little experiment that I'm doing, when a woman was very attractive when she was younger. And with attractive, I mean when she attracted a lot of men. In her younger days, let's say, it's going to be, and if she valued that a lot, and if she not even when she didn't manipulate that or anything like that, when she valued that a lot, she's gonna have, of course, a bit of a hard time when that is not working anymore, you could say. And these can sound all little things, but these things apparently do count. So I'm really looking forward for actually that time, because maybe I always did the opposite. We really had a laugh during that conversation with my sister and her friends, because they were very truthful, actually, you know, the Mercury conjunct Pluto moment. And my sister said, yeah, Veerle, you know, when you were younger, and believe it or not, and I'm not saying this to get compliments or anything, but I was an expert in pushing men away, actually. And she said, you won't have any trouble with that, the menopause and all of that. But you see, what you value and how you were as a younger person, as a younger woman, is going to have an influence in how you perceive. I do mean it when I say, oh, getting older, that must be fantastic, you know, having all that wisdom and, you know, you can help others and all of that. It has to do with what do you value. So, having said that, another thing is, so what can you do? And how do you see in a chart that, and another thing is the following, considering man. So don't think, and that's for the women out there who are going through this phase, don't think that men are not having any issues there. On the contrary, they I don't understand how women can be, oh yes, but men become more beautiful when they're older. Do you think so? I don't know. I'm not quite sure about that. I mean, a man must have physical differences as well, maybe a bit of a tummy or whatever, or losing a bit of hair, or, you know, it's women tend to, especially the ones who've got these Venuses in those 4 signs, especially also the Venus in Pisces. Venus in Pisces is exalted, but because it's of its ideal, you know, it wants the ideal love, it wants the ideal beauty, it looks, you know, it loves to look at the movies and seeing the man on the white horse and all of that. It's just, it's why those people get a lot of times disappointed in their love life, you know, but I'm not going to say all of them, but I mean, I know that in ancient astrology, Venus in Pisces is wow, but I mean, all the people I saw, you know, Venus in Pisces is a tough position to have, because it's so devoted and it's so sacrificial. So, and it's so idealistic. So these women, yes, are going to have a bit of a hard time there. And they're going to think that they're the only one that suffers. You know, the victim, you know, I'm not going to say that every person who's got planets in Pisces is victim kind of energy. No, but they kind of can put all the, you know, I'm worthless and another one has it better. That's not true. I'm thinking about, this is something different. This is out of a man's point of view here. In another life, this is how men can perceive the menopause. And it's a bit, you know, tragical, comical, but anyway, going to tell it anyway. In another life, I worked at the HR, human resources, and I was a business partner. What a beautiful word, wasn't it? And I had to, you know, at that time, many men around, around their 55, they needed to go. The company decided they needed to go. And I had to do these conversations. And I learned a lot of, you know, life in general. not only through the attitude of the company, but also how people are. And there was a man that I knew that he didn't want to go. He was 55. He looked like 45, but so he had to leave the company, and he was really not understanding why he didn't. And I said, and I tried to be positive, you know, and I said, you know, you're going to have time. You've got some grandkids already. You're going to have time for that. And, you know, it must be awful that I did that. But anyway, and he said, well, it's not that. It's not all that. And then I said, well, all of a sudden, he started to cry. It's heartbreaking when a man of 55 starts crying. But and he cried, and he says, because I asked him, why do you think it's so difficult? You're going to have, you know, a pension fund sold out and all of that. And he bursted into crying. No, you burst into laughter. You don't burst into crying. He cried, and he said, but Veerle, I'm going to be 24 hours with my menopausal wife. I can't deal with that. And I said, oh my goodness, why didn't I see that one coming? And I tried to be, you know, a bit humoristic there. And I said to him, you know what, I don't know if that is, in Belgium you've got like those video recorders that you can put on a pause. And I said to him, you know what, if that is the case, every now and then when it goes too far, you just put your remote control and you put it on menopause. And he bursted into laughter. But his problem was not fixed, of course. So you see, it's not all women who suffer. It's also men who can have a hard time during that period, whilst their woman is having this, you know, this period of their lives. Of course, there was more going on than that. Afterwards, he emailed me that he was divorced, and it was a very liberating phase for him. Okay, so, but having said that, is very important to know also, like, okay, if you want to see this astrologically, what is happening in a woman's chart when, you know, some women, it starts at 55, others at 50, others at 48 or whatever. So, and as I saw actually one very clear conclusion was the Cheiron return, which men have as well. So another testimony that it's not only the women that are having a hard time. So that I want to talk about the Cheiron return, and also Uranus. Every time I saw Uranus playing a role on not on a moon, but more on the Venus, on the moon also. So a Uranus transit, a hard Uranus transit, that is a conjunction or a square or an opposition on the moon or on the Venus or on the progressed Venus. So having like Uranus bang on your progress Venus, for instance. So these women appear to have more, you know, around that time having these kind of transits. So everyone's has the Cheiron transit, because Cheiron returns around your 50s, but not everyone, of course, has this Uranus transit. So let me explain a bit of the Cheiron transit. Now, Cheiron is all about the wounded healer, and it's all about, like for instance, everyone has Cheiron, but not everyone has a strong Cheiron. A strong Cheiron is the case when you've got like a personal planet in a conjunction with that Cheiron, or on like an ascendant or another axe. Then you are a very strong Cheiron person. Now, what about Cheiron? Cheiron wants to heal, because long story short, they don't feel healed themselves, and actually they can't. They can never heal themselves. They can just make sure that the wound is a scar and it's clean. So what do? These people, their weakness, you could say, it is a bit of a weakness there and a bit of a sensitivity. Once they go through it and they discover some sort of strength, talent, you know, a capacity for something that is really typical for them, and it becomes their life work, you could say, for these people who have strong Chirons. And and it's especially through helping others that they're not helping themselves with that, but it's a bit easier then. Life is a bit easier. The same with the Chiron return. In a woman's chart or in a man's chart, it will be that moment that there is a possibility of discovering that strength, you know, seeing that weakness, of course, maybe open up the wound a little bit, could be the case, open that up a little bit, and then discovering what this is all about, and discovering that through others, because the Chiron always needs to go through other people, that there is a solution. And if you see that in the phases of people, you know, we start with being, you know, a child, and then an adolescent, and all those phases, you could see this as discovering discovering wisdom, I would say. Discovering wisdom and discovering a new, and I've seen this so many times. I have students now who are all above their 50s, and all of them have discovered something new that they are doing for a living. So they changed their jobs, for instance, or they, like someone who runs a hotel, and all of a sudden she's doing massages, therapy or something like that. You know, something that has to do with, not always with healing, but something that you help another person out, and that gives you a good feeling, because you're transferring a bit of your wisdom towards other people, whether that is physically or mentally or whatever. So whenever these women find that talent and explore it, they seem to be happy, I should say. So that's one thing that is interesting that astrology reveals here. So, and of course, a lot of women around that age, they have children that leave the house and so on. So there is this new phase. It's different. It's not better or it's not worse than the past, but it's different. And I think it has to do with this new stage that has to do with Chiron. So that's one thing. Another thing is Uranus. So some women seem to have a strong Uranus transit. And I think that Uranus is all about big changes. Again, Uranus is about drastic change, and Uranus is also about sudden. So you could say, oh no, but the menopause doesn't come sudden. Well, when I talk to all these women, they say it does. All of a sudden, you realize you have changed. And Uranus is also doing always a 180 degrees of change. So when it comes towards your Venus, which is you could say Venus is relationships as well, and it's money, okay, but let's talk now about value. The value of the woman changes drastically, or has to change drastically. And when I see Uranus trouble, no, yeah, could be trouble, but when I see Uranus transit, quite often I see that people have stuffed up a bit too much. You know, they don't accept something. And especially nowadays, astrologically, still Uranus squares up to Pluto. So when you've got a Uranus transit, you have a Pluto transit at the same time. Even though it's not exact anymore, these transits are very little degrees apart from each other. So when a woman has a Uranus transit, she is probably also having a Pluto transit. No, she is, not probably. She is having a... So, and... So while someone is having, a woman is having a Uranus transit on that Venus, she also will be having a Pluto transit. So this emphasizes actually 2 times that this person is suppressing something and not accepting something that is really in front of, before her. And especially with the Pluto, you know, Pluto is a kind of a death, you could say, and you cannot escape death. You need to go through it in order to be reborn. And I think I've seen that quite a lot with women who find this transition, you could say, a bit more difficult than women who are not having this transit. Of course, there's there can be more going on, especially on relationship levels as well. These can be very challenging under a Uranus and a Pluto transit, you know. Lots of things can come up, like, especially with Pluto, a bit of compelling energy there, a bit of jealousy, or a bit of control, wanting to have the control. But again, these are signs of you will have to let go at some level. Otherwise, you cannot proceed in your life. You're dragging along the death with you. That's the Pluto transit, you could say, and you don't want that. I mean, that stinks, doesn't it? I hope this was a bit interesting. You know, hopefully shining a bit of light onto this subject, and on an astrological level. And I thank you very much for watching. I am going to do the French videos now and the Dutch ones. See you next month. Bye bye. Or maybe sooner. Thank you for listening. And leave some comments what you think about it. Bye bye.